Here we are. Wow. Breda, have we finally arrived?
arrivati.
Yes.
Good morning. I have an appointment with Dr. Marocchi.
Okay.
Good morning. There he is, dear Michelle. Good morning. Nice to see you again. Everything okay?
That sounds great. Could you please provide me with the footage from the last 4 minutes?
Perfect. In the meantime, I'll make myself a coffee. And let's begin our journey to discover this magnificent Italian brand. In an incredible meeting room, where on the wall hangs the entire current production of Casa Breda's flagship models. Standing out is the B12i, the dynamic shooting 12-gauge shotgun in its very latest version, which we had the chance to handle and appreciate at the last IWA in Nuremberg. And in its latest configuration, the standout feature is the expandable carbon fiber extension that Breda offers as a factory option, or as a spare part developed specifically by the sports division. We couldn't help but notice this beautiful AR-15, which the Italian brand had already introduced a few years ago. But it is no longer available to the public as it is produced exclusively to order for institutional clients. And in this beautiful meeting room, a long and very interesting conversation will begin with Dr. Marocchi, who will explain some aspects to us of the company's policies, especially regarding the focus on the raw materials used in the construction of these splendid shotguns, particularly the B12T. There has been plenty of discussion about the tactical version, describing the precision with which the polymers are selected to make the stock and forend. An identical level of meticulous care and attention is devoted to the B12 Sport as well, which guarantees the absolutely consistent performance of the firearm under the most extreme environmental temperatures and every possible kind and degree of mechanical vibration. We also learned directly from Dr. Marocchi, who kindly welcomed us into his personal office, how within the Breda Group, 2 British companies that produce optics and air guns for sporting use have been incorporated. In this room, we saw all the rare firearms on display. Breda, from the earliest productions to the latest prototypes, like this one, which innovatively revisits the inertia-driven delayed opening system, created by the inventor Bruno Scivolani, who, after ending his collaboration with Benelli, joined the workforce here at Breda, bringing with him all his inventive genius.
All right, now let's head slowly downstairs.
Fantastic.
We won't stop at the final assembly department because we need to follow the flow of materials. So this is the end. This is the tunnel, test firing, cleaning, packaging, shipping. So here, conceptually, we will reach the end of the process. At the end,
The tour, yes. So,
now we need to go straight ahead and start from the medical workshop. I want to show you, machine by machine, the thing has arrived.
in this way, we will go through the entire industrial plant to reach the first stage of barrel drilling, which I will learn about with amazement. Being made from a solid bar drilled from solid stock.
Where it all starts, it starts from here. There is a formula with well-defined mechanical properties and chemical elements with specific percentages, ranges of percentages that we want for our barrel. Smoothbore barrel, gauge 12, 20, 28, 410, 10. We start from a solid piece, and I want to give you some interesting numbers. A 71 centimeter section, a 71 centimeter barrel weighs almost 10 kilograms. We're talking about 9.3, 9.4 kilograms. At the end of the process, after deep drilling from solid and turning, we will have successfully removed and cleared away approximately 93% of the steel as shavings. because we want a barrel that is exceptionally strong and highly elastic. So we only take the very core of the bar. The tubes are unloaded from the back, then placed vertically to drain the machining oil. It is a machine that works with oil, not cutting oil, so it is not emulsifying. The pressure is extremely high throughout the entire machining process. The reaming must be done at a constant temperature, carrying away the chill from the metal. We have our reamed tube, as you just saw. We need to move from this stage to the next stage. I want to emphasize this point. It already has the breech thread. What does that make up? And the tube? It cannot flex. It cannot flex even when the tailstock is removed. To make the series of spray holes, additional steady rests are engaged and the tube is always anchored at least 3 points.
And after the barrel, which is the heart of a firearm, let's take a look at what is its brain, the receiver, where the magic of the semi-automatic operation happens.
Here we make the receivers. The receiver starts from a bar. Solid full bar stone. We don't use aluminum, we use an ergo alloy, whereas on the market you find firearms with receivers made from aluminum. 6,000 series alloys, what we produce is ergo, we work with ergo. 7,000 series alloys, so an aeronautical grade 7075. So already, I start with the material of superior quality, more expensive, tougher, harder to machine, but with higher mechanical strength and superior mechanical properties. We order this material a month in advance because the material arrives to us fully certified. What does that mean? The bar before being delivered is inspected through industrial x-rays because we purchase crack-free bars. So the bar must be solid and robust throughout its entirety, even at the core. Once the process is complete, the finished case is then carefully unloaded from the station of the automatic loader, and it is now fully finished. We saw it come in as a bar.
It comes out like this.
It comes out fully machined. This machine is the most complex we have. It has more machining axes because you have an axis from the loading side. A bar, a rotary table, the spindle, the
Rotary table that holds the accessories for the spindle.
I'll show you.
It is essentially mounted and positioned in a manner similar to how you would use go-no-go gauges.
All the gauges pass through here. Basically, from this point right here, I'm already almost completely ready. They perform all the dimensional quality checks. For me, I could go ahead, but there are still some small adjustments to be made. Because then, for the final quality check, they use a coordinate measuring machine to make micro adjustments and approve the start of production.
Of the
Production. Does this thread pass inspection?
it passes. This one doesn't pass.
It only makes the first turn and then stops. These 12-gauge caliber slides and 12-gauge caliber bridge components, with the cylinder heads precision machined in the first and second manufacturing phase. So they are basically completely finished now. Already finished, ready for heat and galvanic treatments. Or it sorts the work based on
And it's truly impressive to admire the level of automation present in this company facility, which allows workers to carry out careful quality control of the machining processes.
Now I want to show you a barrel that has been lapped internally, ready to be chrome plated, and basically mirror-like.
Almost hypnotic. The operation of the machine. The plunger, Patrice shows us how all stages of production are internalized within the company, including the production of small components. The few finishing processes that are outsourced, such as heat treatments, coatings, galvanizing, and chrome plating, are carried out by local suppliers.
So consider the specific tenon that needs to be carefully welded, the main barrel component, or even a very simple lever cover. or a standard button cover. In this case, which will then be screwed onto the shutter release button, this is an aluminum part that is still machined by us in-house. In fact, as far as the connecting rod is concerned, we even start from the forged blank. The steel core is worked with a hammer in order to achieve unmatched hardness and strength. And then everything is machined using CNC, numerical control.
May I?
Of course.
So, let's explain it for those who aren't in the business, so to speak. In the operation of the rifle, this is the small foot that compresses the spring when the bolt moves back, and the smoothness and consistency, because the movement made by this part has a completely decisive impact on the functioning of the lifter during the rise.
I'd also like to share with you a little commercial experience of mine. Since we started using this machine connecting rod system, starting from Porciato, we have never, or at least personally, I have never been asked for a replacement connecting rod because a product made in this way is indestructible.
Fantastic, even for someone who isn't an expert. It's clear how the in-house production of these small parts, which would be easier and cheaper to source on the market, ultimately affects the overall quality level of the product that comes out of this company, which is so strongly driven towards automation and modern production, with quality control at every stage of the processing of each individual piece. Once the protective treatments have been applied to the surfaces of the parts manufactured here, the actual assembly of the firearm begins. Completed. Here, attentive master gunsmiths test all the functions of the firearm, going over each part one by one, using go-no-go gauges to check the absolute precision of the dimensions of every part of the firearm. At this point, the bare mechanism will be sent for stress testing at the National Proof House to validate the perfect integrity of the firearm, and thus authorize its release onto the market. From here, the next step will be through the firing tunnel for the live fire test, which involves alternating different loads with different types, different loads and cycles, with various firing sequences of at least 15 shots per firearm. To carry out this test, the mechanisms will be fitted with a temporary stock and fore-end. At the end of the functionality test, the temporary stock and fore-end will be replaced with the final ones, ready for the customer.
By alternating the shot weights in a studied sequence, I'll give you an example. I fire a 24-gram shell. I need to have enough energy to load a 36-gram shell. For a 12-gauge 76mm, we do 3 complete cycles of 5 cartridges each. So we fire 5 cartridges per shotgun before making the grooves.
But let's move for a moment from the actual factory to what is the department. Research and development, a laboratory where new solutions are experimented with. Here, for example, we happened to arrive while new suppressors for compressed air were being tested. Or new technical solutions, design variations, changes in thickness and materials are experimented with theoretically using the latest industrial CAD programs to create the most high-performing and reliable weapon that can be made today thanks to new technologies and production processes. This essentially is what you find inside the box of a high-quality made-in-Italy product like this one. The know-how, the expertise, the attention to the selection of materials, the production processes used to work them, the quality control of the finished product, and also the after-sales support that a brand like this is able to provide to its customers. Truly an enlightening experience, and we were genuinely pleased by it. Recognizing the Italian tricolor brand in a finished product of the highest quality, such as that represented by Breda's shotgun production. We simply can't conclude our wonderful adventure here at Breda without first showing you a beautiful series of images from the impressive showroom, which features more than a wide variety of Alongside Breda's historic production, there is also all the production of Merauke shotguns, which form the foundation of their knowledge and expertise. The gunsmithing tradition that the new generation of this historic Brescia family has brought to the leadership of Breda Fucili